Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops.
First of all, I want to say thank the fans and the judges. We had a blind seal in the house, so we had an old seal, blind seal. So I want to say is we got a rematch with Ponytail. Ain't gonna be no rock on turn. To me, Danny won the fight. They gave it to the Ponytail. It's cool, but we're getting a rematch. We're gonna tear his ass apart. To the fans, I love y'all. God bless.
What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest. Now, you guys seen it at the beginning. Angel Garcia, he seemingly calmed down after the fight, and he readdressed the public, because immediately post-fight, he was saying all types of stuff. If you guys go look at the footage online, he was saying stuff like, oh, we won, fuck that, we won, and they sucking Keith Thurman's dick from the top to the bottom, little dick. He's like, he ain't from Philly, so he don't got a big dick like Philly. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? He was just saying that Keith Thurman ran, and the WBC was disgusted to give him the belt. You got to make contact. And he was saying he wanted his son Danny to retire. But that's a current video of Angel Garcia. Again, he's calmed down a bit, let everything like simmer, and he readdressed the public and says shout out to the fans. And now he's saying he does want a rematch for his son, and I guess they're gonna come back stronger and go for the jugular. So I want to know from you guys what you think about that, if they should do a rematch. My thoughts on the fight, I haven't watched it again from the first viewing, but it's the same thing. I predicted Danny Garcia to win. Keith Thurman won. I'm okay with Keith Thurman winning. I think he built enough of a lead up front. But like I said before in my post-fight, this has not changed. Keith Thurman went away from a working game plan in order to stay safe, which is maybe what he felt he had to do. But from my perspective, I don't think he had to do what he had to do. People were like, oh, like, first of all, you got to secure the W. And for that, congratulations, Keith one-time Thurman. I'm not one of these people that get on here. If you guys follow me for any length of time, I'm not one of the people that get on here and say, oh, this person was a runner. Like one of the fights where people accused a fighter of running was Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postal. And I don't think that was the case. Victor Postal had reach. He's a good boxer. He's taller and longer than Terrence Crawford. So Terrence Crawford, he used some lateral movement to make Victor Postal the aggressor, which is what Keith Thurman did. But if you watch that Crawford fight back with Postal, Crawford had more spots of aggression throughout. Even in the 12th round, if you look at it, Crawford was trying to knock him out in the 12th round. I was at the fight live, and I was like 4 or 5 rows back. But Crawford was so confident in his ability to stay safe and be defensively and you know what I mean, slip and dodge punches and stuff, where he took that break. And to me, I think if Keith Thurman felt that was the only way to get the win, then it is what it is. But I don't think he had to give up some of those rounds the way he did and make the pace of the fight slow, because he could have really pitched a shutout, judging by what he did early. But maybe Danny Garcia started getting to him, or he said he felt the weight behind the punches, so he acted accordingly. But I really think he was, as long as you're responsible, you have to have faith in your ability, you know what I'm saying? And he gave up. Like I told you guys this before, sometimes Mayweather will give up the last round because he knows he's put on such a clinic and dominated Canelo or Guerrero or whoever that they certainly need a knockout to beat him. So he's not going to give that up. But he's still taking chances. Even like you watch Canelo round 11, that was Mayweather's probably one of his most impressive rounds versus Canelo in round 11. And with Keith Thurman, he won, but I think he didn't win as impressively as I thought he could win if he were to win, even though I didn't pick him. I told you it was a 50-50 fight, and that's just because the rounds he gave up were the rounds that Danny Garcia actually did better. And instead of Danny Garcia doing better at all, he should have stuck to kind of what he was doing that was working. Danny Garcia didn't seem like he had figured that out, and he seemed gun shy. But Danny Garcia became less gun shy as the fight wore on, and Keith Thurman slowed down and slowed down his attack. So that actually, to me, if you guys understand what I'm saying, that actually made it worse for Keith Thurman. To me, that's what I'm trying to say, is what Keith Thurman did in switching the game plan like that, to me, is probably more dangerous than if he would have continued to fight how he was fighting. Because the best rounds from Keith Thurman were in the first 3-4 rounds, right? The last 3 weren't his best rounds. And I said that in the previous video, and nobody has disagreed with that. If you disagree that Keith Thurman's last 3 rounds, if you think any of those were better than his first round or second round or third round, then you don't know shit about boxing. And that's what I'm saying. By switching the game plan, that actually made it worse, because that's where Danny Garcia actually came on and had time to think a little bit more and win some rounds. So switching the game plan, I wasn't a fan of that. And of course I understand you want to minimize your risk, and you were outboxing him, but I think he should have still put his foot on the gas, because what was really bothering Danny Garcia was how awkward he was coming in, and then he was landing some forceful shots, bout, 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 and then getting out. You know what I mean? In round 1. And he went away from that. And that's actually when Danny Garcia started to come alive in some of the later rounds. And it made the fight somewhat close. I mean, you have to say close, because they said it was a split decision win. And it didn't have to be that. It could have been a unanimous decision for Keith Thurman. Or it could have maybe even been a stoppage or more emphatic with the knockdown if he stuck to the game plan. But I guess in his mind, he was like, just stay safe. I did so good early, then we'll just ease off. And I don't know. I just think you have to have confidence in your fight game. The other thing why Keith Thurman's getting criticism for it, right? I'm not one of those people. I'm not, oh, he ran and this person sucked. Do what you got to do to win. That's fine. But you notice when Floyd does it, he's winning more emphatically throughout the whole fight. You know what I mean? By the second half, the person can't even touch them. You know what I mean? That's not really what I seen with the Keith Thurman Garcia fight. Even though I had Keith Thurman winning, right? It wasn't that loud of a statement to the division as it could have been had he stuck to the game plan. That's just my opinion on it. But I don't have a problem with Keith Thurman winning. Once again, I just think he should have stuck to what was working best and what was making Garcia gun shy, which was a bit more aggression, but just in and out and staying safe and stuff like that. Of course, it's not about taking unnecessary chances, but Danny Garcia, if he hadn't figured out puzzle A, then why do you go to puzzle B? You know what I'm saying? Why do you switch up? That's just kind of how I seen it. Danny Garcia's best rounds were late when Keith Thurman was seeming to take rounds off and less aggressive. So that, to me, that makes him easier to time. If you guys understand what I'm saying, that makes it easier for Danny Garcia, because you slow down the pace. So I don't know if it was stamina. I don't know if maybe he felt Garcia's punches and he was like, oh, he's really coming for it, so let me just be extra cautious or whatever. But it is what it is. Keith Thurman, he's a 2-time champ. He did it how he had to do it and how he felt he had to do it. Now Angel Garcia is saying he wants a rematch, and it is what it is. But again, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, this person ran and did this. But sometimes I don't understand fighters' MO, like why they make certain moves. Again, Oscar De La Hoya, you're dogging Tito Trinidad, and then all of a sudden you just switch off into some different stuff. I'm just from the teachings and the learning that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? If you're doing something and the person has not figured it out, you don't change it. You keep doing it. I mean, this goes back to even playing fighting video games, like playing Street Fighter. Sometimes I think they used to call it back in the day, used to call it cheesing when you keep doing the same move. I'll get like M. Bison and they're Blanca, and Blanca's this acrobatic dude. He'll electrocute you and do all this extra shit on Street Fighter. And there's this little move that M. Bison does, and if you get the person in the corner, like as far as they can to the left, and you do this little slide move, and you're like, and it'll knock them down. And then they get back up, and you time it, and you slide again, and it'll knock them down. And every time they try to get up, they get knocked down. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it's like, if you time it right, it's very hard to get back up from the first knockdown. You get knocked down, and you keep doing it. They're like, stop fucking doing that, because you keep doing it. So that's kind of what I've always learned. Just keep doing what's working. You know what I'm saying? And Thurman, he decided to. A lot of people thought he stunk up the joint because he, you know what I mean? He used unnecessary movement for multiple rounds, and I mean, it's a good way to exploit Danny Garcia's weakness. You know, it's weird. It's like he did the reverse of Lamont Peterson. It's like he looked at the Peterson fight, but he did the reversal. And I think I would have preferred it the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Like what Peterson did is he was very economical, throwing out some jabs, good defense, and used a lot of movement early, which makes sense because that's when Danny Garcia is fresh and he has power and you want to stay safe early. So to me, that makes actually more sense to do it like that because you don't want to underestimate a puncher early. You want to wear them down, you know what I mean? And that's what Peterson did. He made Garcia hunt him down, miss wildly, gas out a bit, fatigue a bit, you know what I mean? All that stuff started to set in. And then Lamont Peterson, being confident in his style, he's like, this is where I'm going to open up on him. And then he did that, and he almost stopped Danny Garcia, right? But Keith Thurman did actually, is like Benjamin Button, he did the reversal of that. He started off extremely sharp, well, and started breaking Danny Garcia down with like good combinations and making him gun shy. And he allowed Garcia to somewhat get back into the fight and have his most success in the whole fight when he started to slow down and just kind of like coasted. You know what I mean? I don't. That's kind of why I picked against Keith Thurman, to be honest, because sometimes I don't understand his game plan. Like, for example, do I think Keith Thurman could have stopped Leonard Bundu? Absolutely. Errol Spence stopped him. Bundu acknowledges Keith Thurman had power, but the thing is, Keith Thurman, that's his mental temperament with fights. Sometimes I don't understand it. For example, just follow me. Keith Thurman fought Bundu, knocked him down, and badly hurt him in round 1. I understand he's coming off an injury and whatever else. He knocked him down round 1 and he hurt him badly. Facts. But after that, instead of being one time, he actually started trying to box him, and he allowed Bundu an opportunity to recover. And Bundu was like, this dude has power. He clearly hurt me. So even though I'm not winning rounds, I'm gonna make for a dull fight because I'm gonna keep switching from orthodox to southpaw and being ambidextrous to throw him off, and while staying a little bit busy. And then as the rounds progressed, Keith Thurman couldn't figure out how to beat Bundu, he's an Olympian. He used some crafty like footwork and switching of stances to make the fight dull and make Keith Thurman look less impressive. And you got to keep in mind, right before the Bundu fight was when Keith Thurman called out Floyd Mayweather. He's like, oh, we burning money this year, we burning money. And then you put up that performance with Bundu. Meanwhile, later on down the road, Bundu fights Errol Spence Jr. and he ended up getting stopped halfway through. So sometimes I don't understand. I like Keith Thurman. I don't understand his fight game at times. Sometimes when he does stuff like you're one time, it's good to show you can box. I have no problem with that. But he chooses weird time. Like when you hurt Bundu in round 1, why not be a finisher and not let him back into the fight and be one time then? And then box, like he needed to switch and box Diego Chavez because Chavez was beating him at the brawling, right? So I get it there. I understand why he went to boxing in that fight. Same thing with Danny Garcia. I do not understand why he gave up rounds and made himself look less impressive than he could have. He could have possibly dominated or stopped Danny Garcia, and then people would be like, whoa. But the way he fought, it just made the tail end of the fight a lot more dull. And that's the thing. It's not about, for me, it's not about like just, oh, he ran and stuff like that. It's he actually degraded his performance to me and actually took it down and made it less spectacular than it could have been. You know what I mean? And it's just little weird nuances that he does. Like I said, Bundu, you had him badly hurt. You know what I'm saying? Bundu's not this known notorious Kovalev style puncher where you have to just be cautious all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you could have probably went for the kill, made it a short night, and since you had called Floyd Mayweather out, that would have been more emphatic. Like, yeah, I just knocked out an Olympian. Clearly, the guy could be knocked out because Errol Spence later did it. You know what I mean? So I don't understand sometimes why Keith Thurman does what he does. And again, another reason he's getting slack for it is because he's saying stuff beforehand like, I'm willing to die in this ring, and I'm KOs for life, and you gave up rounds. So, you know what I mean? You're not really staying true. Same thing with Golovkin. Golovkin said, oh, Mexican, hey, no, Mexican style, like Chavez Sr. Mexican, right? And then he fought David Lemieux, which was the best opponent to have, quote unquote, Mexican style with, and he worked behind the jab. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what you said you were about. You know what I'm saying? But beyond all that, Keith Thurman, he got the victory. He did it how he seen fit. Angel Garcia says they want a rematch. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see it? I think Keith Thurman started off extremely strong and very sharp, but I don't understand why he kind of let his foot off the gas. I mean, people, it's not just me. There's people like Errol Spence who said the same thing. He let his foot off the gas. And if you're confident in your abilities, you're not going to do that. And what I notice is, like, you look at guys like Mayweather, as the fight wears on, they gain confidence. You know what I'm saying? And it's apparent in their fight game because that's where they started to open up. Like, Mayweather gets to round 4, 5, and 6. He's like, this guy can't touch me. He can't. I already analyzed everything he has. He can't fuck with me. And that's where he starts to actually take more chances because he's already computed the data, processed it. But that's not what Thurman did. He started off extremely fast. It looked great. And then he made his performance. Like, again, who's saying the last 3 rounds is better than Keith Thurman's first 3 rounds? You know what I mean? Nobody. And that's because of how he chose to fight. But, I mean, it is what it is. You get it how you get it. It was a unification. It was a big fight. Maybe you just didn't want to make any mistakes. I'm just saying, from my perspective, I think he could have put more of a stamp on his win by, you know what I mean, just being confident. Like, Danny Garcia is much slower than me, right? And just took more offensive stances at certain spots. Same thing with Erislandy Lara versus Canelo. I mean, he was outboxing the shit out of Canelo early, and then Canelo started coming on, and then Lara just completely let off his offense. And you can't do that. You know what I mean? You have to take some stands, and that's what made that fight close. So it's some parallels to me in those 2 fights. And I thought Lara, he left it up to his good early work in the fight, because as the fight wore on, it started to shift to the Canelo way. You know what I'm saying? And that makes it, you leave it up to chance there. And you know Canelo's the A side and he's the star, so they might give it to him. You know what I mean? I'm okay if Danny Garcia lost a unanimous decision to Keith Thurman, because I liked Thurman's early work. But again, 2 stars or 2 names, and you know what I mean, 2 champions, you don't want to leave it up to interpretation. So I think Keith Thurman should have, if he had like maybe 1 or 2 more moments like he had in round 1, 2, 3-ish in the back half of the fight, then nobody would say anything about his performance, especially when you're saying KOs for life and you're willing to die in the ring. That's just my thoughts. That's my honest thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.